Lights, camera, action. That's how we're starting today's podcast, friends. We've just gotten everything all set up at Get Up Productions, and we are ready to deliver an awesome podcast for you today. We're going to talk about one of the top secrets of success. Whether you're an Olympic athlete or you're a mom Olympian at home juggling all of the things, or someone in between, this one is something that everybody needs to be doing in 2025.
Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." Most everyone in the world is solving their problems the wrong way. Our problems come from our thinking, and we can solve them with our thinking. So whether you're at your lowest, just trying to grow, or whether you are trying to sustain growth over your lifetime, join us as we push the boundaries of our current thinking and redefine how we find Soul-u-tions.
The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities.
I have just returned from the Soulshine Labs Annual Retreat, and we did this exercise. And in fact, we had class today because I'm recording this on a Tuesday. So the week after the retreat, we were in class and everybody's talking about this one particular exercise. And so it is something we have decided to do every Tuesday in class for the rest of 2025. And I want to make sure that you don't miss out on all of the fun as a podcast listener. So first of all, let's just talk about the Soulshine Labs Retreat. This is something that I gift to all of my Soulshine Labs members. And when I say gift, there is a small fee that members pay for this. But my colleagues and my peers, they charge $5,000 to do these retreats. But for me, I love the idea of over-delivering in the Soulshine Labs. And we do these bi-weekly calls over Zoom all year long. And in the process, we really develop deep and meaningful relationships with one another. Everybody has side texts with their best Soulshine Labs buddy, and we live all over the place. So once a year, I invite everybody to come to my hometown and just take everybody out to dinner. We have fun, and then we do workshops at my house. And we have this concept of Gentle January, which I hope you've listened to the Gentle January episode. If you haven't, cue that up after this one, because this is another Soulshine Labs practice that really has revolutionized people's lives. The idea that you need some time to recover after the end of the year with all the holidays and with all the things, and that January, for those of us who live in the northern hemisphere of the world, January is a winter time. It's a time where we are supposed to rest, take it slow. The days are shorter, the nights are longer. It's a time for reflection and a time for recovery from everything else that you've done all year. And so every January, we as a group come together and say, we're going to just take this entry into the year slowly, intentionally, give ourselves time to truly think about the things that we want to do in the year ahead. We're not going to rush into it. And this is a way of just reinforcing our Soulshine ethos that we do not live crazy busy lives. Yes, we have very full lives, and we're doing all the things. I'm going to put a little asterisk there, that we want to do, not all the things that the world tells us that we should be doing, but all the things that we want to do. We've learned how to prioritize things in our lives. And we've learned that doesn't mean that we need to sacrifice ourselves and our own dreams and our desires just to be of service to everyone else and to silently suffer all the consequences of that. So Gentle January is a way that we can just take it slow, nice, easy, and really enjoy marinating on all the things that we want to bring into fruition in the coming year. And so this annual retreat, we all meet together, and it's always at the end of January. And it's a way we can bring all of these ideas together, have some fellowship, and have some fun. And in the programming, I really spend a lot of time on mindset and truly connecting the dots for everyone on the person that you are today and the relationship that your thoughts, the thoughts that you think in your head, your self-talk, and the words that you say out loud to others to either describe your life, yourself, or other people, all of those things are creating the version of the life that you're living today. So, regardless of what your resolutions are, regardless of what your dreams are, if you want to create a future that's different from today in any way, then you have to learn how to think different thoughts than you're thinking today. You have to really begin to see the connection between the language that you're using in your everyday life and how you're describing yourself and how you're describing your relationships, the connection between that language and the results that you have in your life. So, for instance, one woman, she really wants to create a different relationship with her finances over the course of this next year. She's been a single mom. She's now remarried. She has these great kids. And, she constantly worries about the money that she's going to need to pay for their college tuition. And this has just weighed heavily on her for years as the sole breadwinner in her family. And she's now begun to worry about it so much that it's taking away some of her sense of joy and her ability to just really be present with this season of her life as a mother without that constant little worry involved. And so we talked about how she thinks about money, how she thinks about finances. And they're sneaky little thoughts. And I want you to see if these thoughts come up for you. If it doesn't come up with money, I want you to check in, challenge yourself. Where might it be showing up in my life? I will have to tell you that as a life and a money coach, I find that some people are really great with money and some people struggle with money. And other people are really great with their weight, their body image, their exercise, and some people are really bad. And the people that tend to be really great with money tend to have challenges in the physical area. And the people who are really great, from a physical standpoint, they tend to have challenges with money. So that's a quick check-in for you. If money isn't hard for you, then what is? Is it your relationship with your body, or is it your relationship with work? Maybe you don't love what you do and your work takes lots of time and you're not finding a lot of meaning in your work. It could be in that arena. And it could be in a relationship that you have with a child, a friend, partner, marriage, all of those things. So here's what she was thinking about money. And she was talking about a particular dress shop in town. And she goes, I just can't afford to shop there. I want you to think about the thing that you say, I just can't blank to do blank, right? I just can't afford to blah, blah, blah. Fill in that blank, right? It could come in the sense of time. I just can't. I get this a lot from people who are thinking about joining the Soulshine Labs. I just don't know if I have 2.5 hours to spend a week with a call on Tuesday and a call on Friday. I just don't know that I have the time for that, right? That's another way of saying I can't afford to take 2.5 hours to invest in creating a new future for myself. I hope you're getting the picture now. So anyway, we identified this thought. I just can't afford to shop there. And I said, I know that there is truth in that. Like, I know what you make. I know what the price point is. And I'm not going to argue with you about that at all. But as long as you're saying this over and over and over to yourself, like anytime you drive in the shopping center with that shop, anytime that you see their social media in your feed, anytime you see a friend wearing an outfit from that shop, you are silently reinforcing this neural pathway in your brain that is, I can't afford to shop there. And at some point, that sentence compounds over time to make you feel like, I'm not the kind of person who can afford to spend, I'm just going to throw a dollar figure out there, $350 on a dress. Now, the ability to spend $350 on a dress does not make you a good person or a bad person. It's just a very neutral situation. But when you're constantly telling yourself, I can't afford to spend $350 on a dress, you begin to think of yourself as in a different class or status as the person who can, right? It's in a very subtle, invisible line, delineation line that makes you feel different from the people who can. And your brain is just like builds a wall around you and the person who can. And what you never do is begin to imagine yourself as a person who could. And in fact, you might even tell yourself, like, even if I had the money, you wouldn't catch me dead spending $350 on a dress. And that may be true and that may be okay. But I'm talking about just using this as an example of a thought experiment. So, what if you were a person who could spend $350 on a dress? And again, fill in the blank if this is something else. If you're a person who has time scarcity issues or body scarcity issues or relationship scarcity issues, fill in the blank for you. And so I shared with her, the point isn't whether or not you pay $350 for a dress. The point is that you never spend any time imagining what that would be like. And when you never spend any time imagining what it would be like to be able to spend $350 on a dress, you never spend time figuring out, what if I could make more money than I do? How would I go about doing it? You tend to pigeonhole yourself in the exact job you have with the exact salary that you have. And you tend to just begin to become a person that has set her own limits for her life and what she can earn, what she can afford, and what she can spend her money on. So, and this goes back to this tool that we I used in this retreat, that we used today in class, and that we decided we're going to use every Tuesday. I talk about this concept of mentally rehearsing being in a different place than you are right now. Now, this is a tool that athletes have used for a really long time. Performance coaches use it with their clients. And I think one of the most famous examples of this is Michael Phelps. And you know, Michael Phelps is one of the most decorated Olympic champions of all time. In fact, I think as of this recording, he still holds the record for most gold medals ever in any Olympics. And the secret to Michael's success was using this tool of mentally rehearsing what it was like to swim the laps in the Olympic trials and in the Olympic finals, and during those Olympic finals, tapping the wall and coming in first. He would mentally rehearse this in his bed at night when he was, I'm just going to make some things up in other areas where I mentally rehearse. I do it sometimes when I'm at a stoplight and I'm waiting in line for my turn to take a left-hand turn at a light. I mentally rehearse things in other times and places in my life that I am naturally waiting on things. The grocery store is another place like that. If I'm waiting for my husband to meet me at a restaurant, I'll spend that time mentally rehearsing as well. Now, I hope you're getting the picture that I'm choosing to spend time that often frustrates other people, time where other people are actively rehearsing feelings of frustration. I have decided to, during these times, to actively rehearse future moments that feel good. Now, that is like a double win because it actually changes how I am showing up while I'm waiting, whether it's at the stoplight, at the grocery store, or in the restaurant. And so now I'm not spending that time thinking thoughts, right? Going back to I'm not the kind of person who pays $350 for a dress. I'm not the kind of person who gets frustrated at stoplights or in the grocery store line, or if her husband's late for date night. I am the kind of person who has already decided, like, this is some bonus time in life, some free time, not to scroll on my phone, right? Not to feel bad on purpose, but to feel good on purpose, and to actually lay down the cells for a new neural pathway in my brain. I am going to mentally rehearse having the thing that I want instead of mentally practicing or reinforcing my own limiting beliefs about not being able to have the thing that I want. This is something we can all do. So with Michael Phelps, the interesting thing is like he also mentally rehearsed things going wrong on his way to winning the Olympic gold. I think one of the examples that he shares or his coach shares is that he would think of anything that could go wrong. So it could be the temperature in the pool. It could be something with a bathing suit. It could be something in the lane. But this particular one was he mentally rehearsed one time water getting inside his goggles that he was wearing in the final race. And so it's like in the first lap, water gets inside the goggles. And he has to finish the race, right? Any amount of time that he would have taken to stop swimming if you're on YouTube, you can see my beautiful swimming stroke around the microphone. But truly, like, imagine this. If he would have had to stop swimming during an Olympic final to use his hands to move to get the water out, that would have been precious seconds. It would have been the difference between winning the gold and probably not even winning the bronze. So he mentally rehearsed, what would he do? And think about what you would have to go through. The awkwardness of the water, the thoughts that would go to, oh my gosh, what has happened? The fuzziness of your sight on the lines in the lane, and the irritation of water being in that one eye. And so you'd have to accommodate for that. So he mentally rehearsed it. And here's the thing. In one of his Olympic finals, that event actually happened. That's right. Water seeped into his goggles. And guess what? He didn't flinch. He didn't lose a millisecond of time finishing his race. And yes, he won the gold. But he did it because he had mentally rehearsed. He had mentally rehearsed winning the gold, and he had mentally rehearsed something going wrong that didn't keep him from winning the gold. So back to my friend and this idea of the dress. And I said, you could mentally rehearse wanting the dress. Like, you could mentally rehearse being the kind of person who could go and spend $350 on the dress. You could mentally rehearse, I wonder what she makes. What does she earn every year that affords her the ability to decide whether she wants to buy that dress or not buy that dress based upon the size, the color, the fabric, and how it feels on her body, the season, the place that she's going, right? Like, the freedom to make that decision for any reason other than not being able to afford it. Like, really put yourself in the shoes of being the woman who gives herself that choice. And then you'd have to think about all the things that get in the way of the you right now being that person, right? Like, what are the things that are getting in your way? And what if, like the water getting in Michael Phelps' goggles, that thing didn't get in your way anymore? So right now, what's getting in your way is what? You're just choosing to spend that money on something else. You like to get pedicures. You like to go out to eat. You like to do other things, right? If you could see where the money is going, you like to fill your kids' gas tank up in their car, right? Like, think about all the places where you might be able to recoup $350. So that's one experiment that you could do as you're mentally rehearsing this. Like, okay, if that thing didn't get in my way, if I could say no and just start doing my own pedicures, if I could say no to my kid and not feel guilty, right? Like, what are the things getting in your way? And then be the person with nothing else changing in your finances that walked into that store and was happy to pay that money. I'm putting my hand over my heart right now because that tends to blow people's minds. It really blew my friend's mind. She's like, what do you mean I could do that? I was like, it's just a thought experiment. We're just walking down the street. You're not actually writing a check, but your brain is this beautiful instrument. And if you tell it to solve this particular problem, it will solve it for you. You just have never told it to solve this problem yet. And the reason why this is important is because once you connect the dots that, oh my goodness, my brain has the capacity to truly solve any problem that I put before it. And as long as I put myself in the place where I can imagine that problem being solved. And in order to do that, I can always mentally rehearse it. It is available to me. I'm not going to bounce a check if I mentally rehearse something. My card is not going to be declined if I'm mentally rehearsing it, right? But if you're mentally rehearsing not having enough money and your card being declined, you're just reinforcing a limiting belief system. And I don't know about you, but I remember I was an English major, but I really remember this concept early on in probably junior high. And it was just this, it's a literary concept. It's called a willing suspension of disbelief. Like with some stories, with some books, the reader enters into this unwritten contract with the writer of the story. And basically, you are agreeing to suspend your disbelief as to whether or not this world that the writer has constructed actually is capable of existing given the laws of nature that we have, right? It could be, I think about movies like Avatar or Star Wars or their cartoons, right? Just even Disney World, a Walt Disney cartoon story. All of these require you to be willing to suspend your disbelief. So you already have that capability of doing it. You've just never been challenged to apply that in your own life. And I want you to do this in 2025. I want you to begin to actively, mentally rehearse having that thing that you want to have by the end of 2025 or at some point in 2025. So something that just popped into my head right here is I really want to be able to play in our women's club member guest because it's super fun. And it's just a really, really fun time. And I've been hacking around with my golf clubs for a while now. And I know the game really well as a mother of, junior golfers and college golfer. Also, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, so I've got my master's shirt on right now. And but I want to play. In order to do that, I need to get a handicap. And I have been dragging my feet on getting out there and playing this is like giving you a pop quiz in the middle of a podcast recording. I just don't have the time to get out there. I just don't have the time to put enough practice in. I have to get a handicap. That's like 10 rounds of 18 holes of golf or 20 rounds of 9 holes of golf. I'm like, when am I going to do that? Now you can see those kind of questions. When am I going to do that? And I don't have the time to do it. Just like my friend who was saying, I can't afford to shop at her shop. I'm not really trying to solve the problem of how do I get from where I am today to where I want to be by the member guest golf tournament, which I think is October 25th of 2025. So what I haven't done yet is mentally rehearse being there. So this is what I'm going to use my mental rehearsal time for today is I'm going to take some time to just think about what it is going to feel like to have invited a friend. I'm going to think about who is that friend going to be? I'm going to think about what the theme is. Like, we already know what the theme is for the member guest. I'm going to think about being there. I'm going to think about the camaraderie. I'm going to begin to look at who all's in our Women's Golf Association and find my friends and start to ask them about, like, who are they going to invite to play? But I'm going to start to do this in my imagination first. I'm going to begin to mentally rehearse having those conversations. And then I'm going to mentally rehearse, like, the thing that's going to get in my way, obviously, is I need a handicap, and that's going to take time. So I think I'm going to begin to mentally rehearse playing holes in my head. That's right. I'm going to mentally rehearse, like, okay, I'm on the first tee, picking out my driver or my 3-wood or my hybrid on the tee box, hitting it. I'm going to mentally rehearse where that shot is going to land. I'm going to mentally rehearse the next shot and the next shot and what it's going to take me to get to the hole. Because obviously I have, really remained stuck I have made zero progress on this goal over the last 18 months. And in fact, I've had the last member guest passed me by. And so this one, I don't want to be in that situation. So I'm going to begin to mentally rehearse that. And I want you to think right now, what is the thing that you're going to commit to mentally rehearsing? And then when are you going to do it? Are you going to do it when you're, at a stoplight, at the grocery store, when you're waiting for someone at a restaurant? Are you going to do it like Michael Phelps did every night before he went to bed? And, in the morning when he woke up, and probably multiple times in between. And, the reason why I'm picking times where I'm waiting in line, because I do like to habit stack things, right? That's just kind of time, again, that I might spend being frustrated about the wait. And I could just plug this mental rehearsal in and feel like I have found some time, just like you would if you felt like you found $10 in your pocket, or if you're me, you found the favorite lipstick from last season that you have been wondering where it is, right? You know that feeling when you find something. It's such a great feeling. It's such a big dopamine hit in your brain. And so when you're in these waiting places, if you remember, like, I could be mentally rehearsing that thing that I want to do by the end of 2025. And then you're just like experiencing what it feels to have found time and experiencing what it feels like to already be the person who has achieved it. So I think I have really made this case well enough for you to go on and try it for yourself. And we do have a few more minutes here in the recording studio. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to wrap up this particular episode, this podcast. And then I'm going to record another episode for you as a bonus episode. And in this bonus episode, I'm just going to lead you through a visualization. It's going to be short. It's going to be sweet. But the reason why I'm going to lead you through it is because I want you to just experience how easy it is. So if you're game, I would love for you to forward this podcast to a friend and challenge them to join you in this, mental rehearsal for 2025. I can't even remember the year it is anymore. See if you could pick one friend. It could be your partner. It could be a friend, a colleague at work, one of your kids even. Like, talk about it over the dinner table or send a text that said, "Hey, I'm going to accept Tara's mental rehearsal challenge. Will you do it with me?" take a listen to this podcast episode and see if it'd be something you're interested in. So if you wouldn't mind sharing it, this is one of the ways that I am trying to get more people to listen to the Soul-u-tions podcast, because everybody has been so generous in sharing with me what it means to you to listen to these podcasts and how much you get out of them. And so it would just mean the world to me if you would share it with someone else. And in doing so, you would be helping me grow the podcast listenership. You would be helping your friend, giving them another resource in their life, right? And you'd be helping yourself by such an easy way to feel good about sharing something. So if you wouldn't mind, please share this. And if you think that, being in a community of women like we have in the Soulshine Labs is something that you're ready for, or you're curious about, or that would be just a fun way to have a community of women who are committed to their growth, I would love for you to go to Tara Simkins, TaraSimkins.com, and please make sure you are on my mailing list. There's just a quick and easy thing right there on the homepage, join the mailing list. And when you do, you get a special treat from me. I have a free class that I've recorded on the tool that we use in the Soulshine Labs every Friday. And it's just a game changer for so many people. And I know it will be very meaningful for you in your life. If nothing else, it will begin to change the way you approach the things that are working and not working in your life through one tiny hack that you probably aren't doing right now. And then when you get on it, you'll be the first to know of when we open the doors. And you will also get reminders for our first Thursday of the month free workshop. And so lots of cool stuff you get when you join my mailing list, and just additional ways to keep you just nurtured and loved up, because there's so much in the world right now that is draining. And I don't want your light to be drained by all of those things. I want you to feel like your cup is full, because you have big dreams and you have a lot of responsibility and people to care for. So I'm here to help you feel as good as you can feel in every day. All right. Until next time, thank you. And make sure that you are on the lookout for this fun visualization of our mental rehearsal.
'Cause I ain't done living the life I'm meant to lead. And I ain't done loving the ones who cared for me. The hope and the strength and the love and the smiles and the laughter of friends and family. Add it up, you'll find no limit to the possibilities. The left and the right and some faith in the fight, and you're